Please be seated. Can I call upon Councillor Graham Compton to move the motion to appoint Councillor Karen Greedo to the office of Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016 and 17?
Okay, sir. I first met Karen in 1983 when my youngest son Gareth was 11 and wanted to become involved in politics. He was manna from heaven for the party, willing to work dawn until dusk delivering leaflets. Naturally, I was soon enrolled as a helper too. We've been family friends ever since. Seeing our families grow, we've shared many ups and downs during this time. My wife and I attended the weddings of Karen's two sons, Simon and Julie, and Damien to Lucy. Karen and Robin were present at the christening of my two grandchildren, and we've shared other family occasions throughout the years. One of those occasions, we went skiing at the Millennium in Livigno in Italy, together with Margaret's mother, Margaret. None of us will ever forget the wonderful New Year's Eve celebrations. We couldn't have picked a better location to spend this historical New Year. Our performances on the ski slopes were, however, forgettable. Enough to say, the small kids enjoyed our performances, although we held our own at the après-ski. Karen has worked tirelessly in the Worsley ward to improve the environment and has assisted many individual residents. In 1995, Karen, Robin and myself formed Worsley Village Community Association, mainly because of the problems we were experiencing at the time from the Bridgewater pub. From this small beginning, Karen has become the mainstay of the village, organising such events as the Summer Fair, the Concert on the Green, the Christmas lights, and the Britain in Bloom flower boxes. She was also a founder member of Boothstown Residents Association and is a member of Friends of Royal Green, Worsley Civic Trust, the Amenity Society, and many others, and involved in all the local groups. 3 years ago, Karen, along with Robin and Residents Association, organised RAID to fight the proposed housing developments in the area by Peel Holdings. The committee is made up from all the community associations in the area, and she has led them admirably. This battle is set to continue, and I know she's ready for the long haul. Prior to this, she led the campaign against the Peel proposed Forest Park racecourse development. Mr. Whittaker does not include Karen on his Christmas card list. Karen first represented Worsley from 1986 to 1994, when we lost the seat. She returned to the council in 2000 and has been Conservative leader for 15 years. She became active in the party at a very young age in Higher Openshaw, a good grounding in politics in an area dominated by the Morris brothers, MPs in Openshaw, Higher Openshaw and Wythenshawe at the time. Karen is both passionate and compassionate. She is family orientated and in her private life cares deeply for her mother Margaret, who is here today, aged 98. And Margaret had a fall last night, spent the night in hospital, and I'm delighted she's here today. Her sons Simon and Damien and their wives, Julie and Lucy, and of course her grandsons Miles and Toby, to say nothing of her husband Robin, who supports her in all her activities. A little known fact is that Karen is actually a Geordie. It was little known till they printed it in here. Being born in Haltwhistle, Northumberland, she moved at an early age to Higher Openshaw, and when first married lived in Staley Bridge, before moving to Worsley in 1973. In her working life, she was visual display artist for Jaeger Fashion. She then worked for the family estate agencies until 1991. Her final work was with Marks & Spencer's in Manchester and represented the Manchester area on the Employees International Council, attending meetings in the UK and Europe. Funnily enough, she'd just left the Manchester store, having worked overnight, when the IRA bomb exploded. In council, Karen has sat on many committees, but her main interest always has been and always will be planning. To conclude on a lighter note, various whispers have come to me over the years from certain quarters. One claim to fame that she shared a jacuzzi with the West Ham United football team. Not many can claim that, but it was at the Marriott Hotel there at hand, not at a football ground. I also remember her getting involved in the rescue of a cow from the brook at Broadoak. Along the same animal-friendly lines, she once held onto a deer that had got into trouble in the Bridgewater Canal until the RSPCA arrived. That took some doing. On a visit to Strangeways Prison one time, she couldn't understand why she was the centre of attention, till she realised that perhaps a dress was inappropriate along the raised walkways. Finally, amongst her duties during the past year as Deputy Mayor, she has visited a primary school in Earlham. One of the angels had failed to arrive for the nativity play, so Karen donned the wings and joined in. I would have loved to have seen that one. Perhaps Karen's just having a trial run for some time in the future. Wherever her duties take us this year, I know Karen will be a credit to the city. We as a group wish her all the very best and thank her for her service of 15 years as our leader. I conclude with exactly the same words I used last year. That is, Karen, enjoy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Compton. Can I call upon Councillor Les Turner to second the motion, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, City Mayor, Chairman, Councillors, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to second Karen Margaret Garrido's appointment to the office of Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016-17. You have already heard from my colleague, Councillor Graham Compton, a good history of Karen. He has known her a lot longer than I have, so I'm sort of going to try and bring us a bit up to date at the time that I've known Karen, which is approximately 10 years. Karen has served, as Councillor Compton says, on about every committee on the council over many years, and I agree with Councillor Compton that the planning panel, to me, is her favourite panel. Karen, those were the days, meetings every 2 weeks, very often lasting all day, lovely lunch provided, pasties, sandwiches, those cream meringues, well, we would have 2 of those each. Planning is still there, so is Karen on it until she will be elected shortly, but sadly the cream cakes are long gone. A great incentive to serve on the planning lost. Over the years, I have received many an email or phone call from Karen at all times of the day and night, and I say quietly to myself, oh dear, what has she spotted now? I can assure you very little escapes Karen's eagle eye. This indicates her commitment to the city as a whole, and of course the good people of Worsley, who always elect her and who did so again in large numbers just 13 days ago. There are many times while attending meetings, we sit there together, look at each other and think to ourselves, did we hear that right? Like the school built on a floodplain with an escape route. The housing with garage on ground floor and living accommodation above, so the garage will flood first and residents stay safe and dry. Mind you, they probably won't have any power. There is one meeting, though, that sticks in my mind, and Karen will remember it. There was a certain government minister for communities and local government who happened to be visiting Salford. We both went along to lobby him when he visited the Civic Centre. Well, we had high hopes that he would see things our way. It was, of course, Mr. Eric Pickles, and we met him in the lunch hour. Here was a man with large proportions, sitting, munching his way through a pile of council sandwiches. Quite a feat on its own to those of us who have experienced the council sandwiches. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but there's not much variety in my opinion. Karen, I don't remember him offering us any to us, but I might be wrong. Anyway, our meeting with him did not go too well. In fact, it was a real failure as far as we were concerned. Karen left the meeting with me. She was muttering and moaning, "I'm going to tell the Prime Minister about that man." Well, I do know that she met the Prime Minister several times, and I'm certain she did mention a certain Mr. Pickles. Did it have any effect? Who knows? But I do know Mr. Pickles was replaced, and we are both very happy about that. And I don't think we're alone in that respect. Are we, Mr. Antabus? Karen, there is no one that deserves this honour more than you. And it is an honour. It is an honour. And I'm certain you, together with your mayoress, your consort, will be great ambassadors for this great city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Can I call upon Councillor Gillian Collison to support the motion?
Thank you, Chair. Most of what I wanted to say has already been said. I support this motion. Councillor Karen Garrido, as well as being an excellent ward councillor for Worsley, has always been a superb advocate for the city of Salford. She works tirelessly on her residents' behalf and fights for what she believes in. I just wanted to make mention of Karen's mum, Margaret, who is with us today, and the rest of her family, who must be extremely proud of Karen's achievements, and rightly so. Can I just say, as Councillor Compton has mentioned, Karen's mum, at the tender age of 98, had a nasty fall on Monday night, but she's been released from hospital to be with us this afternoon, and we're so pleased that you're here, Margaret, because we wouldn't have wanted you to miss today. I wanted to wish Karen a wonderful year full of new experiences, and I know that she will carry out this role with the same passion and enthusiasm as she does with everything she undertakes. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to read it out. Okay. I, Karen Garrido, having been elected to the office of Ceremonial Mayor of the City of Salford, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of Salford City Council, 18th of May 2016. So if you'd like to sign.
Okay. It's a bit wobbly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016-2017, Councillor Karen Garrido.
Well done. Congratulations, Karen. Well done. That's your
Yes, can do. Yeah.
Okay. If I start having tears, I'm really sorry. So I'll apologise first. Can I say it is a pleasure and a great honour to be here today as the Ceremonial Mayor for the City of Salford, our great city, and to be supported by my lovely friend Beryl and my husband Robin. When you're growing up, you always have role models who shape your life, and I was lucky in my life to have 5. Firstly, my grandmother, who was my rock. Her life had been hard. Nothing was easy for her. She had been in service at the Bowes Lions in Northumberland, where she met my grandfather, who was a cartier. When they got married, they moved to a village called Holtwhistle, eventually owning a farm on the Roman wall. No running water, she had a well outside. No electricity, they used oil lamps. No gas, she cooked on a large range. She grew and raised everything that they ate. When I began staying with her as a child, she was still cooking on the range, the most imaginable fruit pies you've ever tasted, and her cakes were to die for. I just wish I was able to cook like she was. She was a tough lady, but very fair. Every morning she placed a jug of milk and a loaf of bread outside our farm, for the men of the road, as she called them. My lovely grandfather was the next one who influenced me. He worked so hard. He was strong and reliable. I remember him cutting field of hay with a hand scythe. No mechanicals for my grandfather. He did absolutely everything by hand. He gave me the love of animals, showing me them in their natural environment. When I grew older, I began to work for Jaeger, and at that time I made sure that I actually stopped at Newcastle on my way home and would go and visit them. And he would come and collect me from the train with his horse and flat back cart. His only concession to me was a cushion. Just picture me sitting on the farm cart in a very, very expensive Jaeger suit. The next was my great uncle Oliver Hamnet, who I'm so proud of. He was, until he died, a paid-up member of the Labour Party and a big AU trade unionist who came every Friday to our house on his way to the headquarters to pay the men their money. I think he must have known real poverty, because at that age I wasn't sure what poverty was, because nothing was ever thrown away. He always ate the food left over from the day before. Biscuits were never thrown away, nothing ever went. He used it all. And he was the only person I've ever known that can cut bread that thin you could see through it. He was not able to hold down a job because he was always bringing the workers out on strike, the engineers. He would stand outside the factory gates, calling everybody to support him. He always told me that if I believed in something, I would have to fight for it and not be afraid to stand up and be counted. My mother, always the lady who never comes downstairs now without her makeup on and her hair and nails done. My father never saw her in her housework pinny. Every afternoon after lunch she would go and change for when my father came home. But don't be fooled by that. She drove a large articulated lorry from Haltwhistle to the Preston docks during the war, carrying camouflage paint. She actually went over Shap, not that sissy motorway we have now. She actually went up the narrow roads, driving this huge, great big lorry. Last but not least is my father, the most honest man I'd known until I met Robin. Sorry. He worked for a French company, travelling to Africa for 6 months out of the year. His company was being thrown out of Africa, and he was their only British employee. He would be allowed in as long as he had a certificate saying that he was sane. So he duly went and got the certificate, and every time I told him that he was mad, he would actually say, "Have you got a certificate, Karen?" Because I have. But one thing most I remember about him was telling me of being a girl should never ever stop you from achieving what you want. Never say no for an answer, never take no for an answer, and always keep questioning. It is no good being on the outside. You need to be inside where it's all happening if you want to get things changed. That's how I came to stand for the council, so it's my father's fault, I'm really sorry. When I was told our sons would have to go to separate primary schools, I decided that that wasn't good enough. And I have to say, it really hasn't changed, but I have made an effort anyhow. I have tried to use all I've learnt from my role models to live my life as a role model to others. I've always been totally involved with the community, working to the best of my ability to make life better. When I moved to Worsley over 40 years ago, I was lucky to live next to my Mayoress Beryl. I think we got on well, but you'll have to ask her that. We moved and I missed her friendship, and also Christine, who's here. The three of us were very, very close. We joined up again when we stood up to antisocial behaviour, which was happening in the village. And we then formed Worsley Village Community Association, which I'm very proud of, is actually still continuing today. As a councillor for Worsley for so many years, I couldn't be prouder to have been able to represent the interest of my own community. I'm now looking forward to being able to represent this fine city that we live in the coming year. Thank you. Can I now call upon Gina Reynolds to move the motion of thanks to the retiring Ceremonial Mayor, Consort and Mayoress for 2015-16.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to move the motion of thanks to the retiring Ceremonial Mayor, Councillor Peter Dobbs, the Mayor's Consort, Alan Davis, and the Lady Mayoress, Claire McCourt. Firstly, Peter, in your role as Ceremonial Mayor for 2015-16, you've been a great ambassador for this great city of Salford. You've had fantastic support from your partner Alan as Consort and your close friend Claire as Lady Mayoress. All of you have acted with the utmost professionalism and worked incredibly hard. I congratulate you on raising over £30,000 for your 3 chosen charities. This is a wonderful achievement which will help make a real big difference to the lives of many people in this city. I know you've met some fantastic individuals and organisations across the city. I'd just like to talk about a couple of examples from my own ward, which I represent in Langworthy. Firstly, an exceptional young man, Ethan Evans, a victim of a hit-and-run accident at the age of 8, who discovered a talent for swimming during his rehabilitation and has raised thousands of pounds for numerous charities through his swimming. He's now Salford swimming champion and also a Lancashire County champion. I was honoured to join you in the Mayor's Parlour with Ethan's family when you presented him with the Mayor's Citizens Award, and it was a really enjoyable afternoon, and I thank you for that. You've also recognised another Langworthy resident, Graham Worrell, the Pendleton Home Watch Coordinator, who this year won 2 national awards for community personal safety as a result of his commitment to crime reduction and community cohesion locally. You've brought some glamour to the role with your James Bond-themed evening, judging the best dressed dog competition at the Peel Park pink picnic event, and arranging an appearance, no less, at the Mayor's Charity Ball by the comedy legend Peter Kay. But there have also been some emotional moments, such as the opening of this week of the Alan Henning Memorial Garden, which will be a place to remember and reflect on Alan's life. During your term of office, you've also achieved a first, Peter. You're the first Ceremonial Mayor of Salford to join the Manchester Pride Parade in the mayoral car, and I feel really proud of that, and I feel it's demonstrated Salford City Council's continued commitment to equality and diversity. You've been an absolute credit, all of you, to this city, and I'm sure everyone in this chamber will join me in thanking you, Alan and Claire, for all the hard work you've done over the past year. And I'd just like to say, Karen, you've got a hard act to follow.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to simply second this vote, but for one short sentence, Dobsy, and carrying on from what Councillor Reynolds said. I would like to say how pleased and proud that you, Dobsy, were our first openly gay ceremonial mayor in this city. And not just that, it's often said that the bigger city right next door leads the way in this conurbation of the two cities. Not in this case, Dobsy. That's Salford City Council's title and yours, of course. So I'd like to move this vote of thanks to my good friend, Dobsy. Cheers.
And it's a pleasure to say thank you, Madam Chairman. A year ago, I had the privilege of standing up and supporting the nomination of Peter as our ceremonial mayor. And for me, as an openly LGBT politician, it was a particular privilege because, as Councillor Manchester correctly pointed out, we beat Manchester to it by a year, as we do with so much else. But I was standing up and talking about Alan, the colleague, at the time. I'm privileged to be standing up 12 months later and talking about Alan, the friend. I have been amazed by the energy, the passion, the decency, all the values that we would want associated with our city that have been exemplified by our outgoing ceremonial mayor. Peter Dobbs is a generous, warm, kind man who exemplifies everything you would want people to see about our city. So does Alan, so does Claire. They are a magnificent team and they really have done us proud. We've had some excellent times together. One in particular comes to mind, and Peter jogged my memory of it when we mentioned white wine earlier. And I think it speaks to the character of Peter Dobbs as a genuinely honest and decent person. You are meeting Peter when you speak to him. You're not meeting at a front. It was after the Manchester 10K, which I don't think actually goes through Manchester at all. It's all in Salford and Trafford. And we all met up for a drink afterwards because we were raising money for the Mayor's charity. And it took till about the second bottle of wine for somebody to gently nudge Peter and suggest, maybe it's time to go home and change, because you've been sat there in the full chain of regalia, knocking back wine in a bar. And it just hadn't occurred to him. Actually, I think I came out worse out of that one. But I've got to say, it's been an absolute delight having you as our ceremonial mayor. You will be a tough act to follow. I will say on my personal note, I do think my ward colleague is equal to the task, but thank you so much for everything you've done. You have done this city proud, you have done our community proud, and I say that both as a Salfordian and as an openly gay man. Thank you.
The motion is that we give our thanks to the retiring ceremonial mayor, his consort and his mayoress for the year 2015-16. Can I ask all those in favour? Thank you. Now, this gives me great pleasure because I've been actually on a lot of occasions with the ceremonial mayor to ask him to actually address us now on behalf of the city.
Well, goodness me, if I start crying, I'm going to apologise beforehand. Thank you very much, Councillor Reynolds, Masheter and Clarkson. Those are very kind words, and I really am grateful for them. Madam Chair, City Mayor, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, Madam Chair, I would like to congratulate you on becoming Salford's new ceremonial mayor. Having known you for a number of years, I know that you'll make a fantastic ambassador for the City of Salford and will no doubt serve the city with great distinction over the next year. I also know that Beryl, your mayoress, and Robin, your consort, will be an excellent support during your year of office. I'd always like to thank you for your incredible support this year as my deputy this year. You've helped immensely both on my charity committee and attending many engagements, which I'm extremely grateful to you and, of course, Beryl and Robin. I think one of the most enjoyable events that you attended on my behalf was the National Conference of Embalmers. But you were a little disappointed you didn't win one of the raffle prizes.
It's an urn.
That's it. Claire, Alan and I wish you the very best for the forthcoming year and we'll be there to support you in any way we can. Serving as the ceremonial mayor for the City of Salford has been a great privilege, and every day I've served in this role has been a wonderful honour. The time has gone so quickly, it seems like only yesterday I was making my acceptance speech, but I have to say it's been an incredible year which my mayoress consort and I have enjoyed immensely. It's been an amazing voyage of discovery, finding out things I never knew before and meeting many amazing people, unsung heroes of our city, hundreds of volunteers, foster carers, charity fundraisers, schools, carers, care centres. The list is endless and they deserve heartfelt and genuine praise. There's some things I won't miss about being a ceremonial mayor, and I don't wish to sound ungrateful. I don't want to see another buffet or chicken dinner, sing another Christmas carol, and I'm never eating a mince pie again. And I don't want to hear the word, it's not protocol. And I've bought enough raffle tickets to wallpaper a room. Now, I have a few people to thank for their wonderful support over the last year. To my mayors, Claire and Consort Alan, although they have been naughty, joking with laughter in the car when I've been trying to think about a speech and trying to be serious. But you have been incredible support, and you've taken your role very seriously, and you have made many friends with the people of our city. And I couldn't have done it without you. I just couldn't. To Michelle, Susan and Karen in Member Services for their support and guidance, and I hope I haven't been too demanding. To my chaplain, Reverend Sandra Kearney, for her spiritual support. To Tim, my attendant, driver, photographer, tea maker and entertainer, and all the other numerous tasks that you perform, along with your good humour and support. I'm ever so grateful, and I owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. To my charity committee, and thanks to everyone who has supported my charity events, including Peter Kay, who kindly made a surprise guest appearance at my charity ball. To Boo's Charities, who made a very generous contribution, and my charities will now, as you heard, benefit greatly to approximately £30,000, which I think is incredible in these economically difficult times we face today. Many thanks to all the councillors. Chairing council is never the most memorable of experiences, but I would like to thank you for your reasonable conduct throughout the year and putting up with me. Finally, thank you to everyone in Salford who have been very warm and welcoming at events I have attended and they have supported me. It has been a great pleasure and a huge honour to have been the ceremonial mayor of our great city of Salford, and I will leave with many happy memories of my year in office, an experience I will never ever forget. Thank you.
Now it gives me great pleasure to actually present to the retiring mayor his medal, which is lovely. So thank you very much. And it also gives me great pleasure to present Alan with a medal as well. Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, it gives me pleasure to present the Mayoress, Claire, with her. Thank you very much. After that there's another nice thing to do. Can I call upon Councillor Anne-Marie Humphreys to move the motion to appoint Councillor Peter Connors to the office of Deputy Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016-17?
My delight to move the motion to appoint my ward colleague, Councillor Peter Connor, to the office of Deputy Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016 to 2017. I'm sure he'll be a splendid Deputy Mayor and support you. And you do, as I've said before, have his legendary sense of humour to come. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to second Councillor Connor as the Deputy Ceremonial Mayor for the years 2016-17, and I have been told by rumour that you need to have a lot of time for next year when Anne-Marie Humphreys will tell you his life story. Apparently, I don't know if it's because he's been around so long or because he's done so many things, but his memoirs are now going into the second volume.
Can I now put the motion to the council that we appoint Councillor Peter Connors to the office of Deputy Ceremonial Mayor for the municipal year 2016 and 17. And can I say I really look forward to working with you. We'll have some fun, I'm sure. That actually brings us to the end. Can I thank you all very much for attending this afternoon, and for councillors to be here as well. Thank you so much. And to all the guests upstairs, thank you for coming. It's been really nice to see you, especially for the ones that have flown a long way. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.